That's number one. You kind of reset.
Painful, tender to the touch. May also
Same shoulder length, and the other. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Real Health Podcast with Brandi and Amir. I am Dr. Amir Rashidian, a chiropractor, and Brandi is the commander-in-chief.
I'm like, I am not the doctor.
She is the chief people officer.
Yes, that is my official title. The CPO.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very good.
And that's all we'll say about that.
That's all we got to say about that. So, Real Health Podcast. This is where we read the latest news in mainstream media, what the media is trying to tell you about health and wellness, and what's coming as far as new discoveries, medications, treatments, technology. So we read that, we'll summarize it for you, we'll tell you what it means, and we'll talk about how you can apply it to your life. The purpose of why we do this is so that we can help you feel better, get stronger, live longer, and feel younger.
Yeah. Speaking of younger, I want to give a shout out to our two littles because we had their awards ceremony, school's over, and they both did really well. So good job, boys.
That's right. They got 4.0s, the two little ones.
Yeah.
We don't know if the big one got it, but he's taking his last two final exams tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, last one tomorrow.
Last one. He had a couple today.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he said, I really can't study for math. How do you study for your math final? And so I threatened to call Aunt Amy because she's a math professor and said, and ask her, how is it that you study for a math final? And he begged me not to because he was certain she would come up with a way. So let's hope he did not need it.
He'd rather not know how to study.
100%.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Now, he got straight A's last year.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, I just feel like he hasn't studied very much.
Yeah, he does most of his studying, he says, at school.
You know, a study came out. They said the difference between A students and B students is 1 extra hour a week of studying.
Wow. That's not much in the grand scheme of things.
But there was a bigger difference between B and C students.
Oh, I bet.
So.
Well, there's probably more habits, negative habits that you have to deal with, right?
Who knows?
I would say.
Maybe they need more sugar.
I'm pretty sure that's not it.
Yeah, give sugar to the C students.
All the parents watching are like, that might actually be the problem.
Parents watch this thing?
I'm sure there's a few.
Okay. Yeah, I know one. Our friend Meredith said she watches our episodes. So,
yes, I love it.
So, yeah.
Sometimes she uses this, some of it as like a science topic for her kids, which I think is really
fun. For homeschooling.
Yes.
Yeah. So hello, Meredith, and thank you for watching. So let's jump in. What do you say? First one is a cool one. This was reported by the BBC, British Broadcasting Company. And the title of the article says, "Pioneering Gene Therapy Restores UK Girl's Hearing." Mm-hmm. A UK girl born deaf can now hear unaided after a groundbreaking gene therapy treatment. Opal Sandy, that's a good name.
It is.
Was treated shortly before her first birthday, and 6 months on can hear sounds as soft as a whisper and is starting to talk, saying words such as mama, dada, and
I can only imagine for a parent how amazing that must be. I remember before the kids could talk, you're like, oh, I can't wait to hear their first word. Of course, then they start talking. You're like, please stop for a little bit.
Well, actually, you don't even know if they can hear or not,
right?
Until they start talking.
Oh, that's true.
And so,
there are hearing tests that they do.
They can do tests, but the tests aren't all that great. Delayed speech is usually a result of hearing issues. It says, given as an infusion into the ear, the therapy replaces faulty DNA causing her type of inherited deafness. Her parents, Joe and James, from Oxfordshire, say, I want to live in Oxfordshire.
Sounds like a nice place.
You know?
Sounds cool. Relaxing.
All these British things. Mm-hmm. So they say the results have been mind-blowing, but allowing Opal to be the first to test this treatment made by Regeneron was extremely tough. Would you let your child be the very first for a experimental treatment that involves genes?
I probably would not even let my child be the 100th. I mean, I can only imagine that kind of decision, because the idea of being able to make such a positive change in your child's life, but by the same token, not knowing or understanding what could result in it. And still, that would be concerning to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
But also how beautiful that, it sounds like this was a positive, treatment for her. So,
So they use a virus
hmm
to change the genes.
which we're not
And it's
surprised
a
by.
harmless. No, we're not. I mean, this is something that I think most pediatricians should know. I don't know if they do, but two thirds of the human DNA is completed after birth through retroviruses.
Yes. Yes.
How
I,
cool is that?
it's pretty amazing.
This is why if you're a parent with young ones, you know that you've seen this. Your child will catch a cold, the next day they start using big words.
Hmm.
All of it because their DNA just got completed a little bit. Or they'll get the sniffles. We don't know if it's a cold or if it's a virus, whatever it might be. But then all of a sudden they start walking better, talking better, their athleticism, or they just grow taller. Suddenly they have a growth spurt. All that
Suddenly
stuff.
they're 6'1". I was talking about our
Yes.
oldest.
Yeah, he's not
And
2
taller
years
than
old
you.
anymore, that's for sure. So anyways, this article says her sister Nora, who's 5, has the same type of deafness and manages well wearing an electrical cochlear implant. Rather than making sound louder like a hearing aid, it gives a sensation of hearing by directly stimulating the auditory nerve that communicates with the brain, bypassing the damaged sound sensing hair cells in a part of the inner ear known as the cochlea. So that's what a cochlear implant does.
Right. Which I think in and of itself to me is just amazing technology.
Yeah.
I go, how cool is it that we can actually kind of bypass, some of the issue with,
Right.
with hearing to do that. We have the earphones that actually, they're the bone conduction
Yeah.
earphones. Which is a similar experience,
Right.
using the bone to conduct that sound, which I think is just amazing.
I mean, the sound itself is vibration
Correct.
of air molecules.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty neat.
It's amazing. In contrast, the therapy uses a modified harmless virus to deliver a working copy of the OTOF gene into these cells. Opal had the therapy in her right ear under general anesthetic and a cochlear implant put into her left. Just a few weeks later, she could hear loud sounds such as clapping in her right ear. And after 6 months, her doctors at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge confirmed that ear had almost normal hearing for soft sounds, even very quiet whispers.
Wow.
So the right ear that got the gene therapy is hearing whispers without a
That's amazing.
cochlear implant. But the left side has a cochlear implant.
And I just want to point out that it's still the human body is the one doing the repair. So we need to identify that, because sometimes we miss those things. Like they were using a virus to inject this treatment into the ear itself. But then the body had to take that new information and change the repair methodology inside the ear so that the damaged hair cells can actually be repaired and work properly. So that's the brain, the nervous system, and the body making that happen, which I find absolutely amazing, because we know the body does that naturally. Like it's not telling the body to fix it. It's just saying, here's the right instructions.
Yeah.
Right? It's because that's what DNA is. It's an instruction manual.
It's a blueprint.
Yeah, it's a blueprint. So I think looking at it that way, it actually allows us to see how amazing the body is. And just knowing that naturally the body has programs that it runs to heal, repair,
I have a question.
almost every part of the body.
So you know how genes are inherited,
Correct.
passed on to the next generation. So I wonder, because if her and both the sisters have the gene,
Mm-hmm.
they're both deaf, but now one of them has been given a new gene
Mm-hmm.
to get the hair
Repaired.
in the inner ear. So now are her kids going to have normal hearing?
I know. That's an amazing thought. Because
if
did
that's
we
the
get
case,
rid of that
they
completely?
they just changed generations of children.
Massively.
I wonder, or is it the other gene that's going to get passed on?
Or
Question
does that
for
gene even exist anymore?
yeah.
Are they replacing it completely, is what it sounds like.
We should ask our friend Dan. He probably knows these things.
We're going to ask Dan.
All right,
Dan the man.
Dan, if you're watching,
We're coming for you.
question for you. Experts hope the therapy could also work for other types of profound hearing loss. More than half of hearing loss cases in children have a genetic cause, which makes sense. Because if you suddenly lose your hearing at an older age,
Right.
it's probably not genetic.
Correct.
Which is what blows me away, that a lot of experts say cancer is mainly genetic. I go, okay, but everything genetic you're born with. So why
Right.
don't they have cancer when they're born?
Correct.
Why does it have to be activated?
Right.
Clearly, there's environmental issues involved. So now, the younger we can restore hearing, this is what the article says, the younger we can restore hearing, the better for all children, because the brain starts to shut down its plasticity, which is adaptability of the brain, after the age of about 3 or so. Now, I don't know how true that is, because they say brain plasticity continues as long as we're
Right.
alive, but maybe they're specifically talking about the plasticity with regards to auditory cognition and
Could be.
speech.
But they don't specify. So,
Correct. Well, that's I guess it's kind of a heartwarming story, and potential good news for future
yeah.
kids with genetic hearing loss. Moving on. Anything else you want to say about that one?
No, I think we ran through that
Yeah,
nicely.
so we'll wait till over 100 people have done it, and then we'll consider it for people we know. New York Times reported on this one. The title is "Meet the Men Who Eat Meat."
And only meat.
That's right.
I don't think I've ever had a sentence that used the word meat so many times.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
With the help of Joe Rogan, a social media trend with staying power emerged from a 2018 book, The Carnivore Diet. I've heard of the book. I've never read it. In a social media trend that won't stop, ravenous meat eaters, mostly men, show themselves chomping on ribeye steaks, bacon, and innards.
You can keep the innards. I have no place for those.
You'll take the bacon, though.
100%.
In a recent online video, a popular TikTok user who posts as Carnivore Ray unveiled a new snack recipe. After sliding sheet pans packed with fatty bacon strips into the oven, he melted 2 sticks of butter from grass-fed cows. Once the bacon was crisp, he poured the melted butter into the sheet pans. Then he popped the concoction into the freezer. The next morning, the influencer bit into a frozen treat while filming himself for his roughly 170,000 TikTok followers. "This tastes like candy," he said. The person behind the account did not reply to requests for comment. So I guess New York Times tried to get a comment from him. You know, Sean, is that what we have to do to get 170,000 followers or subscribers? Is eat frozen bacon, butter sticks?
Well, we did
bacon
a bacon
butter
diet.
sticks.
We did a bacon diet
We
years
sure
ago.
did.
Do
Yeah,
you remember
you want to
that?
admit that? I mean, there's
Okay,
there's
you
like
can
at
edit
least
that.
20 people watching.
I think we have to come clean.
Okay, we did that. How many days was that? 2 weeks? 4 weeks? 2 weeks.
I think it was 2 weeks. We
We ate nothing but bacon for 2
We
weeks.
had a few veggies in
3
there,
meals
but
a
it was,
day.
like,
Yeah,
lots of
after
bacon.
3 days, I added broccoli.
Yeah.
I ate bacon and broccoli for
Yeah,
3
there was a
meals.
bacon challenge that had come across our desk, and we
Yeah.
decided to take it. Let me tell you, I did not cook any more ding dong bacon for such a long time. I was so tired of
Yeah, my lunch was a bag of bacon and a bag of broccoli.
how much bacon did we eat every day?
I think it was like eight strips, 8 or 10 strips per meal.
Yeah, it
like
was
30
like-
a day.
it was like atrocious. Like,
Yeah,
it was a lot of bacon.
and it was good quality bacon.
Yeah,
Like
it
we
was.
went
It
out
was
of
the
our
thick
way
cut,
to find
organic.
like the
Yeah.
wide, thick ones. Anyways, we don't recommend it, but we had to try it because
Yeah.
someone said they lost weight doing it,
And
we
it
were
was
like,
healthy and blah blah blah.
they
We
said
wanted to see the
their blood
results.
chemistry improved. We didn't do blood tests though. We just ate it.
Well, we didn't feel great. That
No,
is
which
one
is why we
thing.
added the broccoli.
I mean, when you're trying something new, one great way to see if your body is responding appropriately is to just see how you feel. I mean, it's very
Well,
easy.
these people are saying, I'll read, let me read a little more. It says the video belongs to an enduring social media genre, quarterbacked largely by muscular fellows who claim that a meat-heavy diet is the key to mental and physical well-being. A stricter version of high-fat, low-carb regimens like the Atkins diet and keto, the carnivore diet consists of meat, seafood, and eggs, period. While some add dairy and a little fruit to the mix, the strictest proponents adhere to what they call BBBE, that is, beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. Right. Well, it talks about Joe Rogan and Lex Friedman, the famous people, and then it mentions. By the way, one of them said, I feel by far the best when I eat meat." That was Lex Friedman. Jordan Peterson, of all people, is a carnivore. He credited the diet with having healed his chronic psoriasis and gum disease. Wow. We're not endorsing this, people.
Well, I mean,
But we're not saying not to do it either. We're just reporting on the
right.
article.
I definitely think there's nothing wrong with having meat in your diet. I think
Oh, no.
it's definitely a healthy thing. There are certain enzymes that are in meat that are super important to brain health and whatnot. So there is a call for it. Now, if you have something against, eating animals, I'm not telling you to do it. You can find your protein sources elsewhere. But I'm one who says anything extreme is not good long term.
Long term, right. The studies show that people who eat the most vegetables live the longest.
Mhm.
But there's also studies that say that vegetarians don't live as long as people who also eat
Eat
meat.
a lot, right?
So then I don't know.
I think it's really more about balance.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, there's something in the reason why we were provided things like vegetables to eat is
Yeah.
because they're rich in fiber and things that really help to push the rest of the food through our, our system.
Yeah.
And there is a place and a reason for the nutrients or macronutrients in every single thing we put into our body.
Right.
So to say if you do this and only this all the time, you're going to, well, no, your body needs the other nutrients. So
Right.
if you're not supplementing, and there's a difference between like getting to choose something versus taking something in a capsule. So you have to have some balance.
I agree. Now then there's this guy, Brian Johnson. Do you know him? They
Not
call him the
personally.
Liver King.
Yeah.
He never wears a shirt. He walks around without a shirt
Yeah,
everywhere.
I think I've heard of him.
Every podcast he's on, he's there without a shirt. He's extremely muscular, large guy, big bushy. Well, I'll read
Maybe
what it
he
says.
just can't find a shirt that fits him.
So, no, I think he sweats through his shirt. That's why.
Oh.
Because the guy, I mean, I watched a couple of podcasts and he's just pouring sweat. He's just sitting there talking and pouring sweat.
Is that what meat sweats really is then? If that's all he's eating.
Let me read this. This is Brian Johnson, was known as the Liver King. A Texan with a bushy beard, Mr. Johnson amassed millions of social media followers after claiming that he ate raw meat, testicles, animal organs, and bone marrow to achieve his powerful physique. Mr. Johnson has since admitted to using steroids. Now, the podcast that I saw, he admitted to using testosterone. Right? Now, if you're familiar with bodybuilding and so on,
There's a difference.
that doesn't necessarily mean steroids. In fact, if you're on testosterone replacement therapy, some competitions still consider you natural,
Right.
even though you're using testosterone, because steroids, there's more to it and it gets more involved.
Right.
So I don't know if he's using steroids, but he's definitely on testosterone. And
And
again,
a lot of people do not understand there is a difference.
right, and the dosage
So,
matters too. So
Right.
so if you're using testosterone to bring your normal testosterone levels
to normal level.
within the normal levels, then that's okay. If you're using, I saw Phil Heath. He won 6 Mr. Olympias in a row, and he was at his peak. He was using 1,300 milligrams
Wow.
per week,
Wow.
injecting 1,300 milligrams. So like that. That's extreme.
Yeah,
But he
takes
needed
you
that
way
to build the physique he did, and 300 pounds of pure muscle with, no body fat. There's a guy named Paul. There's a bug flying around here. Sorry. Paul Saladino, a medical doctor and the author of the Carnivore Code, has claimed that most plants are inedible, if not toxic, to humans. He's
I
saying most plants are not edible and toxic.
I
It says
I would need to see
he's
some of that
he said
data.
forget the leaves and fibrous tubers. We're going hunting. He commands in the book. Now get this. Since publishing the Carnivore Code in 2020, Mr. Saladino has reintroduced carbohydrates into his diet with fruit and honey. So he eats the BBBE
And
plus
then
the F
FH.
and the H.
I'm going to start doing that with all of my food too. I'm just going to give you the first letter.
Your food is gonna be very long, lots of letters. So, anyways, I don't know. So the Liver King uses steroids, and the author of the Carnivore Code actually is now eating honey and fruit.
So it sounds like nobody's really sticking very strictly.
The
You
New Yorker also noted a study by the biologist David Rubenheimer and Stephen J. Simpson, who found that protein-loaded diets had a detrimental effect on animals' lifespans. In quotations, it says, "Our sexy lean mice who ate high-protein, low-carb diets were the shortest lived of all," the scientists wrote in 2014. "They made great-looking middle-aged corpses." Mean, muscular. They were basically Arnold Schwarzeneggers of mice,
but dead.
dead at middle age.
I don't know why this article tickles me so much, but
Well,
it's funny.
Dan Boutner, an author who identified 5 regions around the world where people have especially long lifespans, said that a diet of predominantly whole food, plant-based meals, among other practices, is what leads to a long, healthy life.
Now they don't have big muscles, but they live a long time.
Interesting,
I
right?
think he's actually referencing the blue zone
Maybe.
individuals,
But
because
he
that's
said
something we've talked
among
about.
other practices. Why don't they say what the other practices are? Like, is it their love life? I mean, is it?
Well, I think there's a number of things. Remember, we've even talked about things like social,
Social interaction is huge.
social
Yeah.
interaction, the amount of light they're exposed to, clean air, blah, blah, blah. So there was a number of things, but
We got an article about clean air in a minute.
yay.
Dr. Baker, who runs a nutrition and lifestyle company and no longer practices medicine, said he usually recommends that the people adopt a carnivore diet for a limited time to reset their digestive system. After that, they may reintroduce other foods or stay carnivore as he has. So, for what it's worth, I don't know if it's a good idea to be strictly carnivore. I like meat. I eat red meat. But uh, this personal opinion, I feel like bodybuilders understand human physiology better than most people.
Oh, 100%.
They most definitely understand human physiology better than medical doctors.
Yes.
It's just a fact. Unless it's a medical doctor who strictly works with bodybuilders,
Right.
in which case they know. Because you look at these bodybuilders who do use a lot of toxic steroids that would normally kill the liver, but they stay alive.
Right.
And now I don't know what their lifespan is. I do think when you have excess muscle of that size, your heart will eventually fail, and you probably do shorten your lifespan. But I don't think you shorten it as much as these
Right.
mice did. But bodybuilders, they always eat carbs.
Yeah. It's one thing that we're starting to see more and more. If you look on, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, so many now are saying, hey, remember all those days where we told you guys to cut out the carbs, and that's how you lost weight and that's how you got fit? You don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to do tons and tons of cardio. You don't have to give up your carbs. It's still, though, about making smart decisions. I mean, here's the reality. As a bodybuilder, you are so intentional about every single thing you put into your body. So while some may be doing steroids and others might be doing, just HRT, sorry, did I say that right?
HRT, hormone
Yeah.
replacement therapy, yeah.
All
or
of a sudden the
TRT.
words got mixed up in my brain. I just think that they're more intentional, and so they're really cautious, like weighing and measuring everything. I can tell you that it is so different when you're actually thinking about what you're putting into your body and not doing all of the shortcuts. It makes a huge difference. And they're feeding their body exactly what's needed at the times it's needed to support that level of activity or that level of rest or to do a body reset. So I don't know. I just think that if there is an advantage or a disadvantage when it comes to lifespan or what have you, it's got to be based on, like you're talking,
Yeah.
the
I mean,
massive
I've been
amount.
working with a bodybuilding coach for what, 2 years now?
Hmm.
It's been 2 years, and my blood chemistry has never been better.
Yeah. And we've been talking a little bit about that.
And I eat a ton of carbs.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I'm not telling you to go start eating a ton of carbs. I'm telling you should have a coach, someone who knows what they're talking about,
Right.
someone who displays the results, who has coached many others, and he or she has coached people who are where you are today and
Yeah.
have achieved what you want to achieve. So that's how you pick your coach.
Yeah.
Is pick a coach who has helped others go from where you are to where you want to be and has a track record of doing that in a
Yeah.
healthy way.
Yeah.
Ask for blood work, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm excited. I just switched to a new coach, and one of the things that got me is seeing on her Instagram page, some of the her client, highlights and successes that she's seen. And I mean, amazing to be able to take somebody who's overweight and coach them into competition is not an easy feat at all. Of course, you're not the one who has to do it. Your client has to do the hard work, but you literally are watching every single thing that they're eating and every single physical activity and helping to, make subtle changes along the way to get the results that you need to get. So we're talking about most of us go, yeah, I want to lose 10 pounds, and we leave it at that, right? But they're saying, here, yeah, we're going to take that, but we're going to build muscle here, and we're going to take and slim this
Yep.
down here and restructure this. I mean, it's an unbelievable experience.
It is. It is very precise, like you said. Every gram is measured and counted.
Yeah.
Like I'm supposed to have 100 grams of banana in my breakfast and
Yeah.
100 grams of blueberries. Now, blueberries are much easier to measure because you just throw an extra blueberry in there,
Right.
or you hit it. But the banana I peeled had 97 grams.
You're like,
I'm like, do you know what 3 grams of a banana is? It's like a small little sliver. I go, I'm going to peel another banana just to get a little small sliver so I
that's
can add
okay.
those 3
I
grams.
need bananas in the mornings now too, so you can and set it aside for me. I had to do the same thing. I had 2 little chunks. I had to chop off my banana, and I left them for Grandma this morning.
Well, we got time for at least one more. Do you want to do the AI?
Sure.
All right.
I think everybody is always interested in hearing where AI is going.
This
I
is
thi-
not aromatase inhibitors. This is artificial intelligence.
Yes, which
Okay.
I'm
'Cause we're
still
talking about
going to say
bodybuilders.
that is what people want to hear.
We were talking about bodybuilders. So bodybuilders take aromatase inhibitors,
Yes,
which stops the conversion of testosterone into estrogen.
but that is not what
That's
we're
not
talking
what
about.
this article is. AI, in this case, artificial intelligence, might spot rare diseases in patients years earlier. This is by U.S. News. A newly developed AI program was able to successfully identify people at risk of developing a rare immune disorder, researchers report in Science Translational Medicine. That's the name of the journal. Out of a group of 100 people judged at highest risk by the AI program, 74 very likely have the disorder, researchers found. So it's pretty accurate in and all it does is it looks at the
I hope they named it
records.
House.
No, they named it something else. I'll show you. This shows that AI could potentially improve the outcomes of these folks by getting them earlier treatment, they said. Using AI tools, we developed an approach to speed the diagnosis of undiagnosed patients by identifying patterns in their electronic health records that resemble those of patients who are known to have the disorder, said, his name is Butt, Dr. Manish
Or
Butt.
Butte.
Boot is better. A professor in pediatrics, human genetics, and microbiology immunology at the University of California, Los Angeles. So if Dan's not available, we can call Dr. Boot about that genetics question we
Yeah,
had.
for sure.
So anyways, but interestingly, they're talking about health records, and we've talked about health records in the past.
Yep.
Most doctors do not record accurately. And so if the health records are not accurate, do you know we had a patient just I think Monday, a couple days ago, or it might have been last week, and I was talking to Dr. Michael about him, and he's on 2 different statins for cholesterol. He's on a blood thinner, warfarin, but he also is taking a baby aspirin every day.
Oh my gosh.
And
Who
now,
is not looking at his records?
yeah. So why 2 statins? That doesn't make sense to reduce cholesterol
And why
and the
a
blood
blood thinner
plus the
and
aspirin. And I know and we're not fans of the FDA, but even the FDA issued a warning 2 years ago that said stop taking a baby aspirin a day. It's not healthy for you,
yes.
and there's better ways to thin your blood.
Yes. So ask if your doctor has prescribed that, go back and question that and then
Yeah.
say, hey,
First, look up
why
the
are
article, the
yeah.
FDA's announcement. This is an official announcement. It said we are not recommending aspirin a day
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things that when there's often such a slow drip on medical information when it actually hits your physician's desk. So sometimes these things come out, but your doctor is really busy filing claims and trying to figure out how to get reimbursement from your insurance company. And they don't always have time to do all the extra research and to be looking up what's newest and latest. So if it doesn't come across their desk, they may not even be aware of some of
Right.
those changes. So make sure and ask. And if you're on a blood thinner and a baby aspirin, those are things where you go, why? Like, ask why. Because it's very common that those things are mistakes.
Yeah,
So
100%. So we're gonna have him talk to his doctor. The name of this AI program is called PHENET, PHENET. The phi part stands for phenotype. So it says PHENET learns the phenotype patterns from verified immune deficiency cases and then uses this knowledge to rank an individual's risk of having the disorder, researchers said. And phenotype is how genes express themselves.
right.
So the genes are called genotype, which genes you have. Phenotype is the expression of those genes. There's usually more phenotypes than genotypes. So there's like 20,000 genotypes. There's over 100,000 phenotypes in humans. Based on the results, the research team has received $4 million in funding from the National Institutes of Health to further study the AI program in real-world settings. And they say, we will also plan to teach the system to read medical notes to glean even more information about patients and their illnesses. So basically, the AI is intelligent enough to say, when they see these patterns, they go, hey, if this person went to the doctor 2 years ago, and then a year later, they went to the doctor for this other thing, and then they've been on this medication, and now their pattern changed, and now they're doing this, that fits the model of
Right.
this disease. And so they rank them and say, these are the highest risk people for this rare disease. And they were 74% correct.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal, because no human can actually look at medical records that accurately.
Correct.
And look for patterns that well. So these people would have gone much longer before they were diagnosed, saving lives. But that also means medical records need to be very accurate.
100%. It's never a bad idea to actually request, once your doctor fills out your soap note, your treatment notes for whatever day you're in. It's always a good idea to ask for a copy of those notes, or most providers have a portal now. Go in and review the clinical notes that were written. And if there's anything that's incorrect, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Because even if it's in your history on what you said and then what they reported, because once it's in there, it is a part of your permanent medical record. And now we know we're using AI to be looking at patterns. Insurance companies look at that. Like, it's important that information is accurate. So make sure you are constantly looking over
Do you
that.
remember we reported on the article where the doctors were exaggerating the patient's
Yes.
illnesses and symptoms
Yes.
because insurance paid
Was higher
higher,
reimbursement.
bigger diagnosis had higher reimbursements from insurance companies.
Right.
So doctors were incentivized to find something big wrong with you.
Right.
That goes in there as part of your permanent health records. Then, like Brandi said, you apply for life insurance. They go, oh, you have this major disease. You're like, no, I don't.
Yeah, and your doctors can make a mistake. I mean, when your doctor is taking a lot of information from a patient and trying to transpose that and put it into the note, and some things they write, some they might be
Sometimes
doing
they
off
don't
of
even write their
memory.
own notes. I mean, sometimes
Correct.
there's a transcribe that, does
That
that.
listens to the conversation and gets what they get from it. So look at that. I mean, even you guys have patients read the soap note from their first visit
We give
always.
all our patients their records so they can
Yeah,
correct it if
like
they need to.
look through there, let me know if there's any mistakes or if
Literally,
this
we
is
sit with them
accurate.
and read it back to them. Say,
Yes.
is this correct? Is this correct? Is this correct?
Yes, other doctors, if you can take 2 minutes to do it, it's a great QC. It's a great
Yeah.
checks and balance, because I know.
That's how you know our chiropractors are the best in the country.
Yeah.
Just a little plug.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons.
Not shameless, just a
No.
plug.
That's right.
You want to mention this one real quick?
Just quickly,
got a
I don't
minute.
think there's a lot of time that we
Yeah.
need to spend on it. But
So this is from NBC News. Gas and propane stoves linked to 50,000 cases of childhood asthma. Gas stoves found in more than 40 million U.S. homes are likely giving some children asthma, the new research suggests. A study published Friday suggests that around 50,000 current cases of pediatric asthma in the U.S. are linked to long-term exposure to nitrogen dioxide from gas and propane stoves. Nitrogen dioxide forms when natural gas is burned at high temperatures. It is known to irritate airways and worsen existing respiratory problems. The researchers measured nitrogen dioxide inside more than 100 U.S. kitchens while stoves were on and monitored how nitrogen dioxide spread to other rooms after the stoves were turned off. If you don't smoke in your home, then your gas stove is one of the largest sources of air pollution in your home, said Yanai Kashtan, the study's lead author and a doctoral candidate at Stanford's Doerr School of Sustainability. A 2022 study similarly found that 13%, that's a big number, 13% of childhood asthma cases in the U.S. were attributed to gas stoves. Homes, now get this, homes under 800 square feet have 4 times the amount of long-term exposure to nitrogen dioxide compared to homes larger than 3,000 square feet, the research showed. Very few homes are larger than 3,000 square feet. I mean,
yeah,
we've had a couple that were bigger, but like our luxury townhouse we were in when we first got married, or a couple years after,
yeah.
that was only 2,400 square feet.
Without the basement, I think, wasn't it?
No, that included the basement.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, because the entrance was into the basement.
Yeah, I thought it was larger.
No, it was 2,400 square feet. And the second house was 5,000.
Yeah.
So anyways, smaller homes, this builds up. So New York, so they've passed some laws. New York State passed a policy last year that electric heating and cooking will be required in some new buildings there in New York by 2026 or 2029, depending on their height. Berkeley, California also passed an ordinance in 2019 that prohibited natural gas hookups in new homes, but the city repealed the ban in March in response to a lawsuit by California Restaurant Association. However, at least 24 states have passed laws prohibiting local governments from restricting gas use in buildings. And this was according to an analysis from S&P Global Commodity Insights. Bottom line, if you have a gas stove, you make sure you have good ventilation right over it.
Yes.
And you turn on the fan and put it on high. If you're cooking, turn on the fan, put it on high. That'll pull all the carbon, all the nitrogen dioxide out and sends it out, and it doesn't build up in your house, and everybody's going to be safe. So I think a lot of chefs, a lot of people who know how to cook and bake properly,
gas
they
stove
prefer
is,
gas stove. But you can
I've been
control
really
the flame.
sad since I've lost my gas stove.
You didn't
'Cause
lose
our-
it. We didn't have one in this house.
Correct. But I'm saying I lost it from the last house to this house, and I really miss
That's true.
cooking on that.
Yeah.
So
Well, I understand. All right. That, I think, does it for today.
I think so.
Just be super careful. So we talked about gene therapy. We talked about meat eaters. We talked about gas stoves and AI. Good.
yeah,
Good.
well-rounded today.
Well-rounded. Yeah. So thank you all for joining us, and thank you for participating and listening. Please comment, subscribe, share, and
We'll see him next time.
yeah, please. We appreciate you.
Hey,
Good.
and a quick shout out to our flying cows. We've actually are doing really well and headed to the playoffs. So we have 2 more games this week, and then we're going to be
But you know,
in
the next
playoffs.
game is against the Red Devils.
Reading.
Reading.
Yeah.
Is it Red Devils? Yeah, Reading.
Yeah.
And they're the
But-
team that beat us. I think we beat them
Twice.
twice. They beat us once.
Yeah, but they lost one of their really great players because he.
Yeah. And something happened with their coach, I think.
So
Yeah, we'll
I
see.
think we might be okay, but
But if you're in Frederick, the playoffs are coming.
Yep.
And so you should try to get tickets and come to a game.
Yep.
And we'll meet you there.
yep, sounds good.
All right. Take care.
Bye.